Attention passengers, we've now reached our destination. We hope you enjoy the flight and have a nice day.
Hello and welcome to I'm a Tour Guide, but I am your host. And tonight is like the most excited I've been in a long time, which I don't know if that's saying a lot about me. I don't know if that means I need a little bit more excitement in my life or not, but I am super excited and I'm not ashamed to say that. It is 6:30 p.m. on Sunday night for me. And for my guest, it is 3:30 p.m. on Monday afternoon. So I want to welcome a friend who is living and working in the least populated continent of Antarctica. And Katy, thank you so much. I'm so excited to have you on. You look amazing.
Thank you. It's good to see you.
You too. I feel like you might be using some of that glow lotion on your face because you have a way better tan than I do. Are you getting some sun?
Oh, yes. It is 24/7 sunlight now. So I'm getting all kinds of sun.
Nice. Okay. 24/7. That's crazy. Oh man, I can't wait to hear about some of your sleep patterns going on. It's got to be different. You've got to like relearn how to sleep in the daylight, right?
Yeah, it is. It's been interesting. I have an inside room actually. So as soon as I go into my room, it's like complete darkness. So it's been fine for me sleeping. I know some people that have windows have to adjust it more, get some blackout curtains because it throws you off of it if you're outside and it's super bright and then you come inside and have to go to sleep. It definitely throws you off, but also just really tired from work. So I can pretty much sleep at any point.
Wow. So as I was preparing for this podcast, I was going to let you know that I really thought to myself, I'm like, Antarctica kind of falls into two different categories. And like the first category is, oh my God, why would anyone go there? Oh my, I have no desire to go. And then I feel like the second category is, yes, what an adventure. Sign me up. And, you know, then people kind of do the research. And if they're just going for tourism, they may see how much it costs. And their dream of going kind of like remains a dream. I think that's been my case thus far in life, even though it's going to happen. But so for me, it definitely falls into the category of sign me up. And I was thinking that it's a bit of a symbol for kind of all things adventure. Like when I hear the word Antarctica, I swear I automatically just get Ernest Shackleton vibes. Like, even though that's like early 1900s of like the early age of Antarctic exploration, in my mind, I still think, oh, wow, it's just the land where it's unexplored and untouched and uninhabited by a lot of humans. So I find myself kind of longing for that remoteness. And that's how I would envision it to be there. So that's why I'm really excited to talk to you because I'm comparing it to what I've read that happened over 100 years ago. So I'm really excited to hear how it actually is now in Antarctica. My first question would be, you know, to state the obvious question, like, what are you doing there?
Yeah, so I had a similar thought process of wanting to get here, but realizing it's way too expensive. So I started researching different ways to be able to get here so that, you know, I could reach the continent, but maybe not break the bank. And I found out that there are 3 American research stations here. And the biggest one, well, they have a bunch of different science projects going on and research that they're doing. So they need support staff to help keep the bases running. So I found a way to come and work as a steward, just as support staff here at McMurdo Station. And it's the biggest base in Antarctica. And it's one of 3 American research stations. So just found the way to be able to get here. I applied for a couple years, got it this year. And then was able to come down and live my dream. And it's been really amazing. I work in the galley and I just help with the cooks. I help prepare things to be able to make the kitchen run for all of our researchers and support staff here.
Wow. Okay. Man, how long have you been there now?
So I have been here for a couple months now. They go by seasons. They have a summer season and a winter season. Right now it's their summer season. So I'll be here through February. And then if I wanted to stay in the winter, I could continue my contract through the winter.
How would things change in Antarctica in the winter? Because isn't it just drastic? Isn't it the opposite of 24-hour daylight?
Yes, it is the opposite. So basically right now is the best weather. So we have about 800 people here right now on station. And once the winter months start coming, you'll see a bunch of people that are here starting to leave. There's less research going on. It gets a lot colder. Right now, there's quite a few animals, and those will start to disappear for the winter season. I think it goes to about maybe around a couple hundred to 300 in the winter season. So they, just don't have as much going on here. It gets completely dark and it's a whole different experience, I've heard.
So you're there on an American research base, but nobody really owns Antarctica, correct?
Right. There was a treaty that was signed, and it leaves Antarctica open for research.
All right. So anybody could go there on a tour, like tourism. Is that starting to pick up as well? I mean, I know there's, like you said, a lot of scientists and research, but I feel like tourism, I'm starting to see a lot more advertisements and hear of a lot more people that are taking cruise ship through the Drake Passage and going to see wildlife certain times of year. Do you see any of those tourists where you're at?
Yes, it is. I think, around January is a good time that tourism starts back up again, and it is again very expensive. And so, but I know a lot of people still do it. And I guess around November to March is when a lot of people will start coming. That's like the season for tourism here. And you pretty much have to go through a tour operator, which could be really expensive, but they have all kinds of different passages. And I know a lot of people will go through like Chile or Argentina and go through the Drake Passage and do all kinds of stuff from like hiking to looking at all the wildlife that they have to offer here. Yeah, there's all kinds of like opportunities to do that. But again, they're very expensive.
Yeah, I was looking at it. The last time I looked, I think the average price just for the Antarctica part of it, not even for the train or the flight, everything else that is included, but it was like $10,000 just for the Antarctica cruise part. Does that sound about right?
Yes, when I was looking it up, that it was tended to be around that amount, and that is why I looked for an alternative way to get here.
Oh man. So you said that you applied for a couple years and you obviously got it and you're there, but once that you were approved to go, what kind of like health screenings or prep work did you have to get before you go? Because I ask that because I'm thinking if you get really, really sick, like if you're an unhealthy person, would they want to hire you and bring you on there? Because if you got sick, isn't it a long way to get to somewhere where you can get help? Like, I'm curious.
Yes, it is a pretty extensive process. They have this thing, basically it's when you sign your contract, they send you over a PQ packet, so a physical qualification packet. As soon as you sign your offer letter, you need to start setting up those doctor appointments. So you have to get cleared by a doctor. You have to do dental, cleaning and x-rays and make sure your teeth are good before you go. You have to do blood work and drug testing. There's like a whole list of things that you have to do. And for most people, it is very extensive. And I mean, even if you just do the basic, it's very extensive. So some people have issues that come up and you have to get those approved before you can come. And I know that some people have had to get their wisdom teeth taken out before coming, and even if there's like no issue with it. Yeah. And then for winter season, it's actually more extensive. You have to do more testing. And one of them is you have to get a gallbladder ultrasound. So it's a bit different for if you're going to winter over because there's like no flights. I mean, it's very limited.
It was an arduous process. There was a lot you had to go through. And then was it like you had to get approved after all those tests? Like, did somebody say, hey, they looked through all your tests and they're like, okay, now you can come?
Yes. So we had a medical office that we would send all of our paperwork into once we got it approved by our doctors. We would send it in to them, and then they would tell us if we were missing anything or if we were not physically qualified to go. And they would look at all the paperwork, assess, and let us know.
Okay, so you got approved. You were like, okay, I'm Antarctica bound. Let's do it. I found a way. I'm going to commit. Wait, what's you're committing 6 months? Is that right?
Yes, it's about 5 months, give or take.
So like at this point, what does your everyday life look like? Do you have the same routine as far as a 9 to 5 with your job there, or does it change up?
Yeah, so my everyday is, I work 6 days a week, and I am currently on the AM shift. So I work from 5 in the morning to 3 p.m. Then I have 1 day off a week. So, and then there's also a night staff who works, there's 3 different staffs for the people who work in the kitchen. One is the AM. One would be the PM. They work from around 10 in the morning until 8 at night. And then there is what they call mid-rat, and they work basically an overnight shift.
Okay. But you don't really know it's overnight if it's bright outside. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So I guess you can adjust to it pretty well.
Since you have been there and it's summertime, how are the weather patterns? Like, is it consistently great weather, or do you have any pop-up storms you have to worry about?
In the summer season, it is typically there aren't any storms that are too bad. They have these things called conditions, and they'll put it on a board basically in the main building. You check that before you were to go outside, and if there's like a storm, it'll say it on there. There's 3 different conditions, so they call it con 1, 2, and 3. So con 3 is what it usually is in the summer season, and that just means it's good visibility, good weather outside, and you can proceed as normal. And then there's a con 2, which means that you can't go far from base. That means there's not good visibility. There's bad winds. You're allowed to go to your jobs if you're inside, like walk from building to building. But if you're working outside, you would have to come back inside for that. And we've had a couple of those since I got here. And then they have, lastly, con 1. And with con 1, you are not allowed to even leave your building.
Wow. And is that because of like the winds, or it's just dangerous?
Yeah. So it would be because there's probably no visibility, very bad winds, very cold outside, and it probably just a huge storm that it could be very dangerous to go outside because of all of the snow that packs in on the doors and like windows and everything. And it can just be really dangerous. People will prepare for those if they think one might be coming, and they'll just stock up on food and go and take it to their dorm room that they live in just to make sure that they're set on food.
What's the lowest the temperature has been since you got there?
So since I got here, I think it's been I think when I first got here it was around -20, and nowadays it's around like 10
Fahrenheit.
Yeah, Fahrenheit. And now the past couple of weeks it's been around 10 to 20 degrees, but it kind of depends on the wind. Like it could be 15 degrees out, and then there is a ton of wind, and it just makes it really, really cold. And it could be just about 5 degrees, but it's sunny out, and so it's a nice day to go outside. So it just kind of depends on the wind.
Right. So you have 1 off day a week. On that off day, have you gone on any excursions? Like, is that a thing? Can you go and, I don't know, do they have snowmobiles, or can you go out walking or hiking, or like, what have you done adventurous?
Yes, I have done quite a bit of adventurous things. They have a trail system here, and they have all kinds of hikes that you can do. There's actually quite a lot of activities for such an isolated location. But my favorite thing to do here is all the hiking trails. There are some that you can do by yourself, and they're safe to do by yourself without checking out a radio or anything. And you can just go. Those are usually just pretty close to the base. And then there are several that are like further, and you would have to go with a buddy. You can't go alone. And then you'd have to check out with the fire department before you leave. So that would just look like going and putting in a plan to tell them where you're going, how long you'll be gone, who you're going with, and then getting a radio just in case to take with you. And when you go, you would have to take all of your, we call it our ECW, which is extreme weather gear. And you just have specific clothes that you would need in case the weather turned bad and you would need to bundle up. And so you have to take that kind of stuff with you as well. But that's been one of my favorite parts about my off days. And just even after work, if I'm feeling like it, I'll go out and go on all the trails.
See, my jealousy level just went up by 100. First of all, the nerd in me came out because I was like, oh my God, she's describing Planet Hoth in Empire Strikes Back. Oh man, I didn't realize that there were hiking trails so close to your base that you could just get on by yourself. Like what's the terrain like whenever on the trails near your house where you're staying?
Yeah, it feels kind of like Mars sometimes. It's like, I guess it depends on the weather. Sometimes there's like layers of snow, but lately it's been warmer, so a lot of the snow has melted, and it's basically just a bunch of rocks and ash, and just like, it looks like you're walking on a volcano kind of. Then there are some further out that are on just a bunch of ice. So those ones that are further, those are very specifically marked because they have what they call crevasses, so you could fall to your death, and so you just have to be careful around those. They have them marked, and there's flags to show where not to go, but you just have to stay on the path just to avoid those.
So whose job is it to go and mark all the crevasses? I feel like that's a dangerous gig.
It is. Actually, I had a roommate that was doing that. She finished her school and she came down here as one of the researchers and helped basically find the crevasses and mark them out for people here. Those, she went to some places nearby and then also did some traverses outside of our base, so pretty far away. So she went on some trips for that. But she had some really cool stories about that.
The people that you have met since you've been there, did you kind of feel like an instant connection with them because you're both doing something that's not, it's not on everybody's list? You didn't just bump into them at Target. You bumped into them in Antarctica. Do you automatically feel a connection with people, or what's it like? How is it to make friends?
It's interesting because everyone here has some sense of adventure. And so it's been kind of cool because at home, sometimes I'm more of an outlier, but then I come here and everyone is pretty similar in that regards. So everyone has to have some level of adventure and weirdness to come and do this thing on such an isolated place. And so it's actually been really nice. I've made some really nice connections, and some were right away. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we're both crazy enough to come and do something like this.
Yeah. Oh man, that sounds awesome though. And I hope that you're meeting some friends for life out there. I do have a question. What do you worry about most?
So I feel like I'm not really worried about too much. I think the biggest things are just very minor, and it would be like there have been several people that have had to leave because of slipping on ice and like breaking their leg or arm or something like that. So they would have to be flown out and go back to get surgery. And so at first I was a little worried about that because I'm from Georgia, and so I'm not used to like snow like that. I've been fine, but a lot of people have had to worry about that. And then another thing is like you're not used to it being so sunny all the time, and so a lot of people get really bad sunburns. You just don't think about, because it's so cold, you're like not thinking, oh, I need some sunscreen on. But a lot of people come back with like super red faces, and it's funny because we have like these ski goggles that we wear sometimes, and people will have sunburns in the shape of those, which is hilarious. Yeah, those are just like minor things, but
Yeah, I whenever you're going out hiking on your own, do you over prepare? Do you bring like water, snacks, sunscreen? I mean, I don't know how, what could actually save you out there, but do you over prepare when you kind of go out, or are you just kind of like, eh?
At first, I definitely over prepared. I would bring all the layers that I like owned, and I would bring snacks and all these kinds of things. But now I was very much a newbie, but now I've been a bit chiller. If I go on a longer one, I'll make sure that I bring enough water, and we have to bring pee bottles because you can't like have any kind of waste of any kind anywhere on the continent. And so we have to bring pee bottles and pee in those. And if we're out hiking for the day, so I'll make sure I have that kind of stuff, but I'm not, and like I have enough layers, but I'm not as crazy as I was when I first came. Like I think I've gotten used to the weather a bit more. And
Okay, that threw me off. So no, I understand no waste on Antarctica, but do you, even at the base, do you pee and poop, like go to the bathroom in a certain area and it gets transported to somewhere else? Like, how does that work? How does the waste system work?
Yeah, they have a system here where basically they transport everything off continent. I know specifically for the kitchen because that's where I work. We have separate trash cans for everything, and you have to separate your food waste from your like recycling to just your normal like landfill stuff. And all of our food waste actually gets shipped back to California. I think a lot of it goes to California. I'm not exactly sure where the waste, like I know we have a waste facilities. I'm not sure where that's transported, but yeah, they definitely send everything off continent.
I mean, and it's great for the preservation and the study of science to not have a continent full of waste, but that's a lot of work for sure.
Oh, for sure. It's interesting because I feel like there's the most random jobs here that you wouldn't think of, but we have everything just to make sure we're preserving the continent and that we have enough support staff for the science that we're actually doing here. And it's just so fascinating, like actually being here and living here, like finding out about all the things that need to happen to make this place run.
Oh, yeah. And you know what I was thinking whenever you were talking about your hiking? I was like, here I could go. I'm in Washington State now, and it's beautiful. And there are some very remote hikes here for what it is, for where we're at. But something happens, you're still pretty close to a hospital. If, you get sick, dehydration, same thing. You can see somebody get to a hospital. Like, I feel like in Antarctica, there's like so little room for error. It's like you really do kind of have to be aware of your surroundings and really prepare for anything because you really can't mess up. Right?
No, it's true. So part of when you first get here, they make you sit through what they call an outdoor safety lecture. Everyone has to do it in order to start going on trails, and they just go through all this kinds of stuff of how to prepare, what to bring with you, all those kinds of things. And then they also have a fire department here, and they have a safety response team. So they have all kinds of things in place in case something happens. You could radio in and be like, hey, I didn't bring enough water, or I'm too cold, I need someone to come get me, and they'll send people out. And when you come back, you actually have to check back in with the fire department just to make sure that people know that you're here. Because if not, if you don't check in time, they'll send someone to come and save you. So you don't want to be that person that just accidentally forgot to check back in and then has the whole station in uproar just to come save you when you're actually already here.
Right. Oh, that would be terrible. I feel like that's something that you would be in trouble for, to waste all those resources trying to find you if you're really there.
Right, exactly.
This is a random question, but do you guys have a gym on your base?
Yes, we have. Honestly, I'm impressed with how many things they have here based on, again, it being Antarctica. They have several gyms. There's one that they have a yoga room, they have a cardio gym, they have a weight room, and then they also have what they call as a big gym. It's probably like half the size of a normal size gym. And that one you could play, like they'll do basketball nights, they'll do soccer nights, they do pickleball nights, they do all kinds of activities just to, have interesting things for us to do.
That's exciting. It sounds like my mom would love it there.
Yeah, I think she would. We should get her to come down here.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, she loves herself some pickleball. But that's awesome. You have events to keep you going, to keep you entertained. And I'm totally a chubby kid because it took me a second to realize earlier when you said yoga room, I thought for like the first 20 seconds, I was like, a yogurt room. Why would she have a yogurt room?
That's awesome.
I'm like frozen yogurt? Like, what kind of yogurt are we talking about here? You know, some people, I know Antarctica is a bucket list item for them. I have a girlfriend who, she was actually on this podcast. She's going for tourism. She's taken her dad to Antarctica this coming year. I think it's next year. And then I have a few people that, you know, have showed me their pictures on cruises and of the wildlife, and it looks completely amazing. But then there's a lot of us, me included, who don't know a whole lot about tourism and what there is to do there. So if there is anybody that is planning, or it's something that they might think about in the future to save for and go, like, do you have any advice on people planning to travel there?
Yeah, I think it is easier now than it has been, obviously, in the past. And so I feel like more and more people are doing it, which is really cool. And yeah, if you have the money, for sure. Like, I think a lot of it is you'd have to find a good tour operator and just figure out maybe what activities you want to do. I have heard of people going, and again, some people really care about the wildlife. So you would go on like basically a huge cruise ship and be able to view the wildlife from the boat. I know that some people can do all kinds of excursions, like where you can actually step on the continent and do some hiking. Some people will camp. Some people will do paddleboarding and all kinds of things I've heard of. And I think that would be more along the lines of like you'd probably go through the Drake Passage and go up that way through a cruise ship. And a good time to go would be during like November to March, like around that time is when it's the best weather and the animals are here for the summer season. And yeah, I don't know that I was looking into it before, but once I saw the price, I was like a bit deterred. So that's why I started looking into this. But I know that there's just a lot of really cool things you can do nowadays here.
Have you seen whales since you've been there?
I have not. So apparently in January is when we start to get penguins and whales. So far, I've seen a ton of seals. They have Weddell seals here, and they're like the cutest things ever. And I've gotten a lot of not FaceTime, but I've gotten a lot of safe distance viewing of Weddell seals, which has been amazing.
Wow,
yeah, so
awesome.
I'm super excited for when I know there's penguins near because people who are going out on research teams have seen them, and there's families of them nearby, but they have yet to come. But apparently, once I think around January, they'll start to come near our station, and sometimes they'll come like walk through, like it's basically we live in like a little small town, and so they'll come and walk through the town. And so I'm excited for that.
My God. Oh, how cool is that going to be? I love their little waddle, you know, just waddling through town. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Apparently last year there were a ton of orcas that came by, and you could see them pretty well from the station. And so we have like a little lookout point, and right now there's a bunch of seals there, but soon that ice will melt and it'll turn into water, and then the whales will start coming.
Well, that is not the time to go on a paddleboard tour whenever the orcas start coming in.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, they're some of the most beautiful creatures that I've ever seen pictures and videos of. But yeah, I have such a respect for nature. You know, some may call it a fear. I call it a healthy fear, because as adventurous as I am, guess what? I'm not trying to take a selfie with a brown bear or trying to get on a kayak during orca season when they're coming through to get a picture because that, you know what I'm saying? Like these are in the wild, and they could do anything and they should. That's where they live. That's their habitat. Oh, but overall, how are you feeling? Are you feeling like this was something I'm not saying we're supposed to do, whatever that means, but like, is this a decision that you're super happy that you made in life?
Yes, I am so happy that I decided to do this. I think I found out about it a couple years ago and applied, and I heard first time people don't usually get hired. So I was like, I will apply every year until I get there. And it has not disappointed. It's been such an incredible experience. And even though I'm doing like, I don't know, a normal mundane job, I am in like such a cool place that like after work, I can just step outside and just go on a hike with just like such a beautiful scenery and just a beautiful area. So it's been really amazing. And yeah, again, like I'll be inside working all day. And then as soon as I come outside, it's just like, I remember why I came and like how worth it really was. And it was like a dream of mine. And so I feel like it's been a very fulfilling experience. And I would recommend it to everyone.
That's so cool. I'm so proud of you. I mean, just for the listeners, you and I have hung out in Honduras a couple times whenever you were working, I guess, for my mom, with my mom on some things in Honduras. And so luckily we have met each other, but I'm super proud of you that you are there and that you dreamt something and are actually doing it. So props to you. I'm happy and excited for you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yes. And like, I know you probably don't get to listen to my podcasts all the way in Antarctica, but I do this little thing at the end of them where I kind of do more of like a rapid fire question where they might even be stupid, but they're just kind of fun. It's like something you don't prepare for and it's just like a fun thing. Do you care if I ask you 3 questions?
I love it. Let's hear them.
Okay, good. Okay. So now question number 1, I have 3 of them. Question number 1, now that you have lived somewhere where you don't have all the comforts of home, what is the one thing that you have realized that, and I'm doing this in air quotations, you can't live without?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I feel like I could live in isolation for a very long time if I had family with me. And so, yeah, I'm really enjoying this experience, but I feel like if my family were here or some friends, like it would make it even cooler.
You're so sweet. Mine probably would have been good coffee. So yeah, you're a much kinder person than me.
Well, another thing is because it's so hard to get things here, one thing that would be nice is what we call freshies, like literally just like fruits and vegetables. And we haven't had them in a while because there were supposed to be a shipment that came down and they had to bring science cargo down instead. And so all of our freshies are rotting in Christchurch, New Zealand right now.
No! Who needs science? I mean, bring us fruits and vegetables.
I know, right?
I'm kidding. That would be really big for me. So do you know when another shipment's going to come in?
Probably if they can't get any here basically there's our airfields the snow is softening. And so we can't have a certain aircraft that would bring those down won't be able to land safely. So I think until January, which we would have a different aircraft come down, I think sometime in January is when they would be coming.
Well, that would be nice for Christmas if they could get it down. A little late Christmas present for you.
That would be nice.
Okay, here's my number 2. My number 2 question. Well, first, let me get some little background knowledge on this. What's the hottest place you've ever visited?
Ooh, I would probably have to say either Honduras or Costa Rica, because both of them, the humidity levels they just make you like so hot. You're basically pouring sweat as soon as you walk out the door.
Crazy high humidity. Oh, it's crazy. Okay, so knowing that, this is morbid, but I don't care. But if you could choose to die freezing to death in Antarctica or in a jungle, hot humidity in Honduras, like which way would you rather go out?
Oh my gosh. I would probably have to say freezing in Antarctica just because that would be a cool way to go. But also, it feels like it would maybe be less traumatic and more peaceful. I feel like your body would just go numb and then you would just go.
Yeah, I love that answer. I love that answer. I feel like it would be a slow death in Honduras.
Oh, for sure. Be miserable.
Oh, goodness. Okay. So number three, again, I'm going to do a little background knowledge with this one too. So, for any of my listeners who like to read like a good classic adventure, there's this book called Endurance. Shackleton's Incredible Voyage. And I think I have it right here. I think it was copywritten in 1959 by Alfred Lansing. And it's just it just gives you like the rawness of some pure organic adventures from like the early 1900s. And I really love it. And I'm recommending it. And so whenever I was reading it, I highlighted something in it that the author, he was, hold on one second. Yeah. So the author is like referencing how some people perceived the expedition whenever Shackleton was getting ready for it. And so this is out of the book. I'm reading this. It says, the whole undertaking was criticized in some circles as being too audacious. And perhaps it was. But if it hadn't been audacious, it wouldn't have been to Shackleton's liking. He was, above all, an explorer in the classic mold, utterly self-reliant, romantic, and just a little swashbuckling. And I highlighted that because I'm like, as I was reading it, I'm like, oh my God, if somebody could describe me as swashbuckling, like, you know, when they're writing my eulogy or whatever, like, oh, that would just be so cool. Like, I love just his whole like sense of adventure and his longing for it, whether it was for prestige or not, just how he was attracted to that life and his voyages through Antarctica. So my question to you is, if you could have 3 adjectives said about you, what would those 3 adjectives be?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know if I can top swashbuckling.
What a great adjective.
Okay, so I would say
Okay.
adventurous, persevering, and brave.
Okay. And do you feel connected to that now? Like, do you feel like you're brave? Do you feel like this is a brave thing that, you know, you're doing? You had a goal and you did it?
Yeah, I do. I think it's been really cool because I have been able to push myself out of my comfort zone through this experience. I love to try new things and I love to push myself. And I think this was just the weather in general, something I've never experienced. Again, I'm from Georgia. And so the coldest place I've ever been is like Ohio. Yeah, I think it's been, I think like, you know, pushing yourself into a place where you don't know anyone else and you just have to put yourself in an environment that is so isolating and very hard to get out of. And I think it's really amazing that I was able to make it here and that I am getting this experience that I've been dreaming of for a couple years.
That's awesome. So excited for you and super excited that you get to continue to have this adventure. I'm sure you're going to have so many stories. I'm sure the wildlife that's going to start headed your way in January is going to be breathtaking. I hope you get more, like, just take in all the adventures. I hope you keep meeting awesome people. And I'm very curious to hear if you decide to stay, if you decide to leave, if you come back. So yeah, I'm going to check back in with you and just, you know, see how you are, because this is really a cool experience. And if at some point I can fit this into my life schedule, man, I'm going to be calling you up and be like, all right, give me a reference on this application.
That's awesome. I would love and gladly give you a reference.
Yeah, but you're awesome and keep having the best time ever. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I know we had a little bit of internet connection because we're only like a day apart from each other. But thank you. This has been so awesome for me to listen to your stories and just to hear it from a traveler's perspective. So thank you so much, Katy.
Of course. Thank you for your time. It's been super fun talking to you and catching up.
Yeah, girl. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.